Okay, restarting this video. Just got distracted. There was a weird sound there. I don't know what it was, but got way too freaked out and distracted there for a second. Anyway, a little strange happening. What's going on lately in that crazy little world of mine? Strange happening stuff. Previous video briefly mentioned that my father died about 2 weeks ago. Had his funeral, 10 days ago or so, something like that. And just before that, I just kind of lost it. Not crying or anything, just very, very agitated, angry kind of stuff over it. So I didn't speak at the funeral or anything like that. I'm glad my brothers and sisters, my one brother and two sisters, took over. They did an excellent job. But I was pretty unpredictable at the time. And the thing is, I know everybody thinks it's because I'm upset about my dad dying, but that wasn't it. That's not it. If y'all seen my past videos, I know that there's more to this world. This is just like a classroom, temporary classroom, and you just learn what you can, move on, go to the next one. There's so much more than just this life right here. Whew, seeing things now. But so much more to this world than just this life. There's so much beyond it. And I know that. It's not a belief. I know that from my memories from before, from this walk-in experience I had, all this kind of stuff. I know this. So it's not that I'm upset about that. It was something else going on with my crazy little world, strange little world. And it was part, I'm going to put it in generic terms, again, something dark and transmuting it to light. Trying to do that within myself. And it's something I've talked about before, with some of this dark and taking it into myself and transmuting it kind of thing. This took about a week. It took a while. It took a really long while to get that done. And it wasn't my father's death. It was something else. But it's done. It just took a while. It took quite a while. Part of it relates to my strange happening number 1. At the 6-minute and 30-second mark. No one's really asked or paid attention to that little point there. Nobody's paid attention. And what I say is, I got to look through the history of the earth first to come here. I got to choose this body. And one of the things is I wanted to be near the end of what's going to happen here, but not at it. That's a big deal. That's a pretty big deal. I say that, strange happening number 1, 6-minute, 30-second mark. I've talked to my wife about this throughout the years, here and there. A couple of nights ago, after I've kind of finished transmuting and working in the yard and doing all that, I got pretty drunk again and really opened up to my wife about it and reminded her this is what's actually going on with me, and was able to talk to her about my strange happening stuff. And this was part of it right here. Is in one of my videos I talked about pretty early ones, number 2, 3, or 4, whatever, is like being able to see the future, kind of saw my own death kind of thing. The problem is seeing this life when I chose it, seeing my death, kind of a death there. I never saw how I died, never saw the body, never saw funerals for myself. And then when my dad died, I'm like, oh hell, it all clicked and things started happening. It's like, yeah, Don Hudnall died. That's my dad's name too. We have the same name. And it's like, Don Hudnall died. And it's just me now. And I'm like, that opens up some things. And it is like a timer has started. It's like a big timer has started from some things I saw that get pretty crazy around here on this planet. It gets really crazy, pretty scary for a lot of people, and violent, crazy kind of stuff. But even through all that, what's going to happen, what I saw happen anyway from memories before I was born, what I saw happen, reading this book. And I'm going to kind of show you what it was like with the book. Because, okay, much thicker than this book here. Much thicker, okay? The book I saw from before I was born, much thicker. We're talking thick, really, really thick, thick book. And the thing is, our books in the United States open like this, from right to left, and we read from left to right. So they open like this. So if there's the book, it opens this way, like that. If I'm holding it, it opens like this, and you read. This other really big, thick book from Memories from Before I Was Born, it opened almost like from the back, if you're going to open the back of a book. So it was, instead of a book sitting on your right side and you move the cover to the left, it was opposite. It was sitting on the left side and the cover opened this way. So it was like backwards. And when you do the pages, it was going backwards through the book, like a normal United States book, English book. But the beginning was at the end, and you read it this way and read it kind of backwards from what our English United States book was. And it opens like this, and flipping through these transparent pages with fire letters on it. And it was about like this. So if I can show you, it was just a few pages of Earth that contained all of Earth's history. And here I am near the very end of it, of this 3D world that's happening right here. I'm near the end of it. And then, like I mentioned in that Strange Chapter number 1, there were a lot of blank pages, almost like waiting for something to happen and be written in it, and it's not there yet. And then after that was this whole civilization of perfection, glowing light beams, glowing. People were glowing, and there was no poverty, no hate, no famine. It was just perfection, the way things are meant to be. But it was a blank section here to get from one side to the other, from this 3D world living now to this other side. I don't know what that's for exactly. Almost like it's just waiting for something, and I don't know what. But anyway, that's what hit me anyway when Dad died, is Don Hednall died, and it's just me now. Just like the title of my video site that I called it, and this name I got from a long time ago when I had no reference to it, and again, here it is, just me. And a timer started. It's the countdown, because I don't want this to sound nihilistic or anything, but for me, from this point, what I saw, Memories Before I Was Born, it was the rest of this 3D world like it is now had 10 to 20 years left, and that's it. I don't want that to be too nihilistic, because I tried to show you just then, there's so much more of glowing light beings and a way to get there. There's so much more, but for this kind of stuff, physicality, this kind of body kind of stuff, it ends in like 10 to 20 years. No definite time, but that's as close as I could get from when I died. And Don Hednall has died, and the countdown started, and that's all I get. And I've told my wife about that through the years, that after I die it would be 10 to 20 years left, because I want to be near the end but not at it, just like I mentioned in my Strange Happening number 1 at the 6-minute and 30-second mark, and no one's asked about that. My wife knows, but I'm probably rambling now because I've taken a little anesthetic late at night to go to sleep, and I'm probably rambling, but I needed to get this just down, because that's what's been happening lately, is when he died, this timer started, and I can feel it and almost see it. So I find that interesting, just interesting. And another thing, in some of the presentations I've done lately, there's a phrase that I use, and I know people aren't hearing me. What I'm trying to say is, when I say don't be afraid, it's going to be okay. People are normally thinking, if I have a broke arm, something physical, don't be afraid, it's going to be okay. That's not what I'm talking about. You have an emotional, serious injury or trauma, and I'm saying don't be afraid, it's going to be okay. What I'm actually talking about is this point of death and transitioning over, is don't be afraid of that. It's going to be okay. This is what I'm talking about. It's what I'm actually talking about, is this transition from one form to another. This is what I'm talking about. Don't be afraid. It's going to be okay. And that time's coming up. It seems like 10 to 20 years. And I don't want it to be nihilistic. It's not fatalistic. I mean, because there's so much more. It's just a change. And that's all it is. And since Dad died, Don Hadnell died, it seems like that's started. So, just putting it out there. That's what's been going on lately. But this isn't some new thing that I've just come up with. I put it out there on my very first Strange Happening #1, 6-minute, 30-second mark. And I've told my wife here and there throughout the years about this exact thing. The thing that I just had wrong, I just kept assuming it was my physical death. This body's physical death for me. But I never saw that in my memories from before. I never saw my physical death there. It was just my death. And I'm like, and when my dad died, Don Hadnell died, I'm like, oh, wow. Everything started happening. There was so much more spinning in my head, coming into my head, and it just kind of solidified a lot of things. And then I've seen a couple of other things starting to happen that are real, I won't say coincidences, but synchronicities now throughout the universe. Some synchronicities starting to happen outside of this planet that I'm seeing, and it's being reported, and it's just like, okay, yeah, baby, okay. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Cash just woke me up. Got to get this nose strip off. Allergies, pollen flowing through the air. When you breathe, you can feel it on your teeth. Last night I talked about a weird sound. Probably one of the cats in the other room. Just sounded closer than it was. And shadow up on the ceiling, about 8 inches flying through. But it's like because of the light here. So we have these big mosquito hawks around right now, and it probably just ran in front of the light and made that shadow. So 2 reasonable explanations for those 2 things, sound and that. So let me brush my teeth and get back to a couple of other things. Okay, the final thing I thought I might mention is something I said in just this other part of the video about things happening outside our planet kind of thing, even on our planet, outside our planet. Some things that I've noticed recently going on. Let's see. There's a little guy, science guy, based out of Canada I like to watch. He talked about a particular gamma ray burst. This was detected back in October of 2022. It wasn't like all the others. It was aimed just about straight at Earth. And 2 point something billion light years away, really far away. But this one was really powerful. Didn't act like the others. Normally when something explodes, there's a gas cloud that goes out, the gamma ray burst comes out, hits the gas cloud, separates a little bit, spreads apart as it goes on a little bit through the gas clouds. This one didn't do it. It's like there was no gas cloud. It was almost as if this gamma ray burst came straight out. It was coherent, kind of like laser light, a straight line, that the gamma ray burst came straight at Earth. So sometimes when they see these on the detectors, they're like 100 times brighter flash when they see it, this 100 times brighter thing that happens. This was 5,000 times brighter, and it oversaturated at least one of the satellites and blinded it. It was so bright. Not only that, it affected Earth's atmosphere. The Earth's atmosphere actually enlarged for a little while, and that's from 2.5 billion light years away, something interacting with Earth. One he put out most recently that the scientists just detected a few weeks ago is from the center of our own galaxy. We've got this black hole, Sagittarius A, at the center of our own galaxy. Well, they've detected this on X7 molecular gas cloud, or big gas cloud, maybe remnants of a star or something, and is about to get near the event horizon of Sagittarius A, the black hole. Should be there by 2036. So they're saying somewhere within the next 10 to 12 years, this will start interacting with it. And the scientists say we should see some kind of fireworks maybe from that. They're not sure what's going to happen when that enters. And that'll happen within the next 10 to 12 years with the light speed finally reaching us. And so they don't know what's coming. It could be nothing, a nothing burger. It could be a high energetic pulse of light that comes this way. But they're expecting that around 2032, I believe. 2036? 10 to 12 years. 10 to 12 years. And that's just extras to go along with our magnetic pole shifting currently. All the GPSs having to be updated so often. They're speeding up their new locations. More and more discoveries about potential solar micronovas from our sun and things like that. Planetary tilts, things like that from the catastrophism side of things. But these are two other things: the gamma ray burst and the X7 gas cloud about to interact with Sagittarius A. And I'll put links to that little science guy I like to watch because he breaks it down in common day language, and I like his videos, part of it. So I'll put those two links below, and you can check them out for yourself.